One curse that may actually affect two teams is that of Dan Marino. Marino is perhaps the best quarterback in NFL history to not win a Super Bowl. I feel like you can't overstate just how obnoxious he was. In an era filled with great quarterbacks like Joe Montana, John Elway, Jim Kelly, and more, Marino still manages to stand out due to his gaudy numbers. The 1984 season is the most memorable one, however. This was Dan Marino's second year, and it was the best year of his career. The Dolphins went 14-2 in the regular season, but more impressive was Marino's stat line for the year. He threw for over 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns, with a passer rating of 108.9. Mind you, this was 1984. Miami continued winning throughout the playoffs, reaching the Super Bowl, where they faced the daunting 15-1 San Francisco 49ers. Joe Montana versus Dan Marino. What a game this would be. But no. Unfortunately, it was mostly one-sided, with the Niners pretty easily handling the Fins for their second Super Bowl win. Still, Marino was only 23 years old. However, Marino and the Dolphins never made it back to the Super Bowl, as 1984 proved to be the peak of the era. Miami had previously won back-to-back Super Bowls in the early 70s, including the legendary undefeated season in 72, but they could just never build a complete team around Marino, at least one good enough to win it all. Let's fast forward to the end of the 1999 season. The Dolphins are set to face off against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the divisional round. This game proved to be an absolute dick-slapping, as Miami got blown out 62-7, making it the most lopsided playoff game in the Super Bowl era. The game saw both teams' starting quarterbacks pulled early, but for very different reasons. Marino threw 2 picks and did not have his first completion until the Jags were already up 38-0. Although he did lead a touchdown drive right before the half, that was basically it for him. Following the game, he and head coach Jimmy Johnson would ultimately retire, making that the end of both men's careers. It was just such an awful way for two legendary figures to go out. In fact, it might be the worst final game in NFL history. Now here's where we get into the curse aspect of things. Despite all the personnel losses, the following season would actually be an improvement on the previous, as the Dolphins made the playoffs and defeated the Indianapolis Colts in overtime, although they would lose the following week when they were shut out 27-0 by the Raiders. However, this would prove to be Miami's final postseason win for quite some time. In fact, it is their most recent postseason win, giving them the longest drought currently in the NFL, 24 years and counting. This, coupled with the team's inability to find long-term consistency at the quarterback position, has led some to believe the team is cursed as a result of what happened to Marino, and I think they make a compelling point. I've seen some also suggest that the Jacksonville Jaguars are victims of this curse as well, as the team has struggled with quarterback play and postseason success, although they have at least won some playoff games, including reaching the AFC Championship in 2017, so the curse may not have as strong of a grip on the neighboring Florida franchise. I like this one. It has some history to it and seems quite strong. For me, it's the lack of long-term quarterback success that really sticks out for both teams, as well as the lack of postseason success. That Miami playoff win drought is pretty bad. That being said, I do think mismanagement could be explained for a lot of these failures, and the Dolphins did win a playoff game the year after Marino retired. Maybe the curse just hadn't taken effect yet, but I don't know. It doesn't feel quite like a top-tier curse to me, but I will put it as a hard one to break.